full 2020 finals continue for the Play versus High School Championship. My name's still TJ, joined by one Matt Clendaniel as we blast forward to Arizona.
Exciting. We're going from warm weather to warmer weather still. Maybe next we can go to the center of the sun, the only place, and this is true, hotter than Phoenix, Arizona.
I have been to Arizona, and I as you can tell, definitely prefer cold weather, so maybe I'm just a pansy, but I think that's true as well. Let's head into our format, because I know some people maybe are joining for the first time. They're wondering, how does a state final for League of Legends play out? Well, it'll be a best of three. And we're going to play over the course of those 3 games. You need 2 to win between our 10 players. This is one of our 29 state and regional championships.
I'm excited for this one, TJ. One of the reasons being I know someone from Arizona. I've asked if he's heard of either of these schools, waiting for him to get back to me on that, so expect an update somewhere around game 2. But mostly because the conference name is AIA, and I like anything with bilateral symmetry.
I'm just really impressed because you said you know someone from Arizona, like that's an achievement, when in fact, millions of people live in Arizona.
I don't think so. I only met one. So.
This is a bad start to a broadcast.
Well, I've only met one so far, so Arizona people, reach out.
I know 10 people who 100% live in Arizona, and they're on screen right now. We're going to get into our draft between our 2 conference finalists. It is Brophy and Isham, who are from Brophy College Preparatory. And let me get our full school name up here. Central High School of Phoenix.
It's Phoenix. It's hot there. That's all I know about Phoenix.
This is the only fact Matt knows not only about Phoenix, but like Arizona as a whole.
I know that Phoenix is in Arizona.
Oh my god. He's on a roll. Watch out. Tarek and Tristana are the unexpected bans there as Brophy College continue with their ban phase. Akali, of course, a little bit more standard. It's Leona Amumu Victor, knocked out by Central High School.
I'm interested in these bans mostly because you don't usually see the Amumu ban coming out. He was really strong in the beginning of preseason, but he's been tuned down a little bit. Someone who's also been tuned down, but not quite as much, is that Kane that just got picked up by Central High School.
Yeah, Kane's still certainly very strong. Also, in the category of characters that are certainly still very strong is Jin. So far, Brophy are building towards a mid-game spike, late-game finish. Mordekaiser also fits into that category. Graves gets stronger and stronger pretty much infinitely as the game goes on. On the opposite side, Vayne can certainly brawl out across the mid-game and will do quite well late against the high tank of someone like Graves and Mordekaiser. You also have Silas and Kane who are going to do best in the mid-game. So I argue there's a little bit of a narrower window, but a stronger spike in this team theme so far from Central High School.
The Seraphim ban, TJ. Pour one out. Your favorite champion has been taken away. The most interesting thing for me going into this draft, I have recently discovered the single most cursed Graves build of all time. Because for a while he was going Eclipse into like something reasonable, like the Collector. I've recently discovered that some people are going for like Drain Tank Graves, where you go Shield Bow into Bloodthirster. And I do not like it.
I have witnessed that. I cannot say where yet, but I have witnessed it. Maokai will come through for Central High School as they probably are running support Maokai there. That's going to be my prediction.
TJ, I'm getting news on the line from my friend from Arizona. May I provide an update on if he knew these schools?
Yeah.
He didn't, but his mom did. They're rivals, which is good. It's a good storyline. And he says that she took Latin classes at Brophy. So my friend's mom took classes at Brophy. So that's the caster bias for today.
Do you happen to know that alumni's name?
I do not. Last name Keaton. No, Foreman.
Their last name maybe Keaton, maybe
No,
Foreman. More
it's
news
Foreman.
later.
Shout out to my friend Keaton Foreman. He's a public figure. His name's already out there.
We do have Jin Karma as the bot lane for Brophy. That's going to be a lot of good poke. On the opposite side, that Maokai support prediction, 100% right.
Well done, TJ.
Vayne in there as well. So that's a lane that's going to do really well come mid-game. And Nasus into Mordekaiser in the top side. I'm fascinated by this draft. I can't wait to get into it. So let's head to the Rift as we kick things off. So my point about the draft was going to be that we have a very narrow window during which Central High School are quantifiably more powerful. As this draft completed, I don't think that's true anymore. I think both these teams kind of scale up to infinity. And scale up pretty darn well. The only exception to that is kind of the Silas, who will fall off a bit. That's matched by the Karma, who becomes less interesting as we go hyper late. So, both these teams are going to be pretty solid come late game. I would say we start a little faster for Central High School, so maybe see if they can pick up some during the first couple of minutes.
The one spot where I would disagree with that assessment is top lane. I put in a game of Nasus earlier today. It didn't go great. Because it turns out Aurelia's really good early on, and Nasus isn't. I suspect it'll be a similar situation here with the Mordekaiser, who does very well in pretty much all stages of the game, definitely scales up better, but will potentially be able to bully out this Nasus if CC will land on the Nasus. So that's what I'm looking for.
I've just learned some very bad information. Brophy College Preparatory have 2 coaches.
Okay.
So Ashley Telio and Mark... Oh, I'm going to mess up this up. Mark Kanui. Kau Anui. Sorry. 2 coaches. 2 Central High Schools. 1 John Pacho.
I guess we have to see if 2 coaches are better than 1, TJ.
Go by regular season results. They are. Brophy coming into this with only 1 game lost. Central Phoenix High School tie 8-8 win-loss, so 50% win streak across the season. Mid lane already not starting great for Central Phoenix. And that's going to be Death Sniper knocked down to a sliver of HP.
Actually, TJ, you can't read this because of your dyslexia, but it's Death Simper.
That just feels like bullying to me.
It's not, TJ. I just wanted you to know, because I wanted to point this out earlier, because it was like a really funny to me. I like when people...
Death Simper specifically wanted to mess with my dyslexia.
Yeah. Because it's just Sniper, but letters moved around, and I think that is me. Be nice to TJ. I like him.
It's alright.
Cool dude sometimes.
It's balanced out by the fact that their AD carry is called Trash Bard and is playing Vayne, thereby making them a pretty trash bard.
I would agree. I would have to agree. Also, shoutouts to Milk Cow 101 and Pigmaster. There's just good names this game, TJ, and I just wanted to take some time out to talk about them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of farms in Arizona? Or is this just like farmland inspired for no reason?
You are just hitting me with hot questions, just like Arizona, which is hot. We know that to be a fact.
Yeah, that's all we know. That's all we know so far.
I know that the solar industry is really big in Arizona.
That would track, because the reason it is so hot is because of the sun. So I'm putting it together.
In breaking news, we would like to apologize to the state of Arizona. Mid lane, we'll have our first real action of the game. Down bottom, Denlock would like to follow up. Oh, what a great tangled advance. And now Milk Cow is the first blood, a pickup for Trash Bard. They roll forward and grab the Jhin. Both summoners exhausted, no flash or heal as Milk Cow respawns.
And looking at the top lane as well, this is sort of what I was talking about earlier on. Nasus is going to struggle here. He doesn't have a whole lot of trading tools early on. You really need a lot of stacks in your queue in order to do any damage whatsoever. Desnots does not have that. As a result, he's down 15 CS, and hopefully... Oh, that's the wrong jungler. I was like, his jungler's here to help him out. No, that's Furley looking for some bullying going on in the top side.
I've just been looking through the... sorry, I'm gonna stay distracted here as D's Nats, which is very technically a name we can say on broadcast.
Very
stays
true.
ahead of Quantum Chief in the top lane.
Barely.
Still so fairly hanging out. So I was looking through for Brophy what their players' future plans were, and almost universally, they are looking to pursue esports to some degree in college.
And it's cool. We've seen, you know, you and I especially have seen a ton of collegiate initiatives and a lot of collegiate players still. You know, almost every college would be happy to have them because a lot of them are still building out their university rosters. And talented players are hard to come by. So, good luck to them. Hopefully they can have a good showing here today. They're starting pretty strong, TJ. Quantum Chief really giving it to D's Nuts in the top lane.
Quantum Chief, Hugh Gallagher dedicates his gameplay in this final to his older brother Liam, who passed away this October. Liam was the one who introduced Hugh to League of Legends and was always supportive of him playing in esports. From his teammate, from Hugh's buddy down in the 80 carry role, we know that they are both heading to ASU esports. So
okay. Really great way to honor that legacy and keep moving forward. ASU's fantastic and they have a great coaching staff. Quantum Chief, Hugh, as it were, really putting a clinic on right here in the top lane. I'm feeling real bad for D's Nuts. I played Nasus earlier today. It went much like this. It is really rough going into someone who has a stronger early game than you. Quantum on the wrong side of the lane, though. Oh my god!
That was so clean!
Hugh, give it to him.
That was disgusting. He was completely out of cooldowns. The bush was warded. And Quantum still manages, between the Death's Grasp and his passive, of all things, to find the kill by maybe 2 HP.
I think 2 might be generous, TJ. That might have been just the straight up 1. Oh my goodness. Now, I mean, that puts D's Nuts so far behind because all you really have as Nasus is that chance to scale up. You can sort of scrap in the early game, especially if you go that Emax, which has fallen out of favor significantly, but now it is a really, really rough time for that Nasus.
We do have some aspiring pros over on the Central High School side as well. I'm going to butcher this name. Trung Ha, who plays under the name Death Simper. Plans to win Worlds!
Hell yeah! Get it, Simper.
But the main end goal for me will always be joining the Pro Leagues for League of Legends and winning Worlds when I get there.
Well, you gotta win this game first. I mean, I guess you don't have to. You can still get there without winning it, but it's a better start, you know?
On the other side, they have a future chiropractor in their substitute, Adian Reyes. Not this game, but...
That's really good, because whoever hard carries this game is going to need one.
Yeah. Got someone ready for the back pains. In this game, first rank did go over to Brophy, of course. We are maybe seeing a full-on scrap here as the rogue entrance does come through. Death Simper barely staying ahead of the pressure. And the deep dive afterwards from Frilito on this Kane will find a lot of damage, but not quite the kill. He can't get in range. Quantum dumps him into the death realm.
Get him, Hugh!
And QB will find the kill into Death Center just as Quantum wins his own fight. Now D's Nuts is surrounded by enemy players and will go down a double kill for Quantum, and Brophy off to a sterling start.
3-0-0 on the Mordekaiser. That is one hell of a dedication coming out of here from Quantum Chief. Beautiful play, beautiful rotation from the entirety of Brophy And now if you look at this is an almost insurmountable lead forming already. It's 10 minutes into the game, but you've already got a 2k gold lead, you've got the Dragon, you've got the Herald. Every objective that has become available to Brophy has been theirs for the taking.
Very, very clean team fight up there. Just really good synergy. You can see the investment of the Galio kind of paying off there. Having a Galio on your team means that you're going to have a slower start in the mid lane usually. But I would like to highlight not only has QB been winning his lane dominantly, but he is also, of course, getting the payoff of being able to ult into any of these team fights and save the day.
Ooh, TJ, this is going to be the Burst Galio. That's
oh
the
boy.
Formations of a Night Harvester on QB.
AP Galio. Sign me up.
No Dark Harvest, which is the last time I saw that, but I think Aftershock is actually significantly better, so shoutouts to QB. We haven't seen a ton of Galio in the most recent patch, or at least I haven't. Which is interesting to me, because I always like seeing Galio, especially for the team play aspects. He's a champion similar to like Shen, where he's very, very strong in competitive play, definitely less so in solo queue. Well, I haven't seen him much because competitive play is mostly on pause during the off-season. But now we got some competitive play right in front of us, and I get to see Galio, so that's heartening at least.
I think Galio is pretty good right now. It's a hot time. Maokai will try and flash over the Maokai ult. Doesn't stay ahead of the full gank. It's okay for the team, because Brophy does find a kill in the meantime in the mid lane, and we'll have a TP. This is going to be QB arriving. Quantum off the back, double TP, and they've already got a kill. Here's Burley arriving, and it is a 3-man shutdown down bottom, 3 for 2, a positive trade for Brophy.
The only concern I have for Brophy going forward, they really, really need to keep their eyes on Trash Bard, because they are doing fantastically so far. Already have that Kraken Slayer, 3-in-1 on this Vayne, who is one of those late game carries. The longer the game goes, the stronger she gets. She spikes a little different on new items. She definitely doesn't spike as hard in the latest stages of the game, gets there a little sooner to the point where she's powerful, but that's just more in the favor of Central High School Phoenix, because that's going to be a ton of damage coming in already. Get that second item and things get real scary.
But check out how good that timing was on Brophy's investment in that bot lane. It was a risky fight, but they commit to it with all of their resources, because the winner of that fight gets the Drake, which Brophy won the fight, and now they have the second Drake. So it compounds their lead. They now have 20,000 in the bank compared to just 17k for Central High School. And, most importantly, that is going to be the second Drake of the game, putting them on potentially a sole point as soon as the next Drake spawns. We're only at the 12-minute mark.
Yeah, and this is really, really good. I mean, that is the kind of jungling that I like to see in competitive, because it is the best, honestly, is, you know that you're going to play to your weak bot side. You know that you are going to let them kind of get shoved in a little bit until the objectives are around, until you have something to fight for. And then you go full ham on trying to get them back into the game, full ham on engaging, so that they can be set up for a fight.
And just going by regular season stats, that's something Furley is incredibly good at. He's got a 10.5 KDA over the regular season.
Ew.
63% kill participation.
That's gross, TJ. Get that out of my face. It's disgusting amounts of KP. These Nats really struggling in this lane still. Like, caught up in farm for a little bit, which I was impressed with. Of course, Quantum Chief was spending a lot of that time roaming. But as a result, you would think that the Nasus would have a little bit more agency in the lane, but it really just is not showing up. Look at that, Death Realm immediately. These Nats going to try and invoke as much damage as possible, but the Ghost won't even get you out of there. Quantum Chief finds yet another 5-0-0. It may be.
Frill Joltio, whose name I am not getting right, but sue me.
Friholito, maybe?
Friholito?
Yeah. There's a lot of numbers instead of letters.
I'll look at the document and see if I can sort that out, but anyway, he goes up to the top lane, saves the day.
Ooh, you're not quite going to find that grab.
We can call him Victor.
Okay. Free Julito, aka Victor.
Victor Cruz there in the jungle position. Not filled out the form, so had no clue.
Victor. That I think is one of my favorite things about doing these events, is that sometimes the players are really, really just genuinely caring and they're super interested in these forums. They're like, what are your plans? It's like, well, I think that for my next 4 years, I'm going to be going off to university. I'm going to play a little bit of esports, but then
Oh my
ultimately
God,
my goal is like...
Did you get the information? We got like a whole Mighty Ducks inspirational speech the other day in one of our forums.
That's what I'm talking about. You have players like that, and then you have players who are like, yeah, okay, this is my name. All right, cool, done.
You know what? If I were a high school esports player, though, which of course I don't think I would be because I am not great at video games, but if my high school were really lacking for esports players and I were playing in high school, I would not fill out the caster form.
You're the problem. You're the problem, child.
I know you would. You're the goody two-shoes, but I don't have time for that. Who cares?
The casters do. I want them to have an easier job. I want them to have things to say about me. I want people to know that I want to be a chiropractor. That I want to win worlds.
Up there in the Rift Herald pen, there is conflict brewing.
So I was distracted by how long that dancing grenade took to bounce. It was just really on an orbit there.
Suspenseful. Also suspenseful is this fight run up here by the Rift Herald pen. Like, keeping us on track, Matt.
Well, it's taken a while, TJ. They're not sure they want to go in. Oh, beautiful condemn, but a great charge in by QB. Will be the Proto Belt coming in, doing a lot. Rocket Belt, rather. D's Nuts looking for more. Pigmaster rotates up. 20 seconds till the Dragon. They're really just scrapping over this thing like crazy.
No investment from either team for a team fight, because if you lose the team fight up there, you also lose the Drake. So, quite rightly, both teams say there's no need to take that much risk unless we are very sure we're going to win the fight. Expect either Brophy to force a good engagement down here, or Central to trade Rift Herald for Drake, or Dreadlock to get caught out, going a little too far forward and just getting CC chained onto the grey screen.
Here comes the teleport, though. Quantum Chief does have one answer. He instead just interrupts the teleport. That's one way to handle it. He's keeping him up in the top lane. Well, Victor goes in, tries to secure the Drake. Doesn't know how low it is, though. Gets taken out in the backside. Trash Bard flashes over the wall and gets out with the blast plant. Well, Death Sniper pulled Pigmaster into the Death Realm. But Pigmaster's alive. That is terrifying. Beautiful combo there from Brophy. And they will find their way to 11-3, Soul Point, 17 minutes.
A very big team fight there from Brophy is very fast karma from Pigmaster. Stays ahead inside the Death Realm. They lose almost nobody. And as you say, it is Soul Point. And that is them kind of converting what is in the gold count into a firm lead. They're going to be able to not only get that Soul Point Drake, but also be able to grab turrets across the map. You're going to have a confirmed turret takedown bottom, the second of the game, the second to Brophy. And they're going to be able to convert all that gold in their pockets into some pretty major item pickups as well.
Herald, however, will be going over to Central High School, as it was abandoned rather quickly by Brophy. So it's something back in their pockets, at the very least. I think that's valuable.
I mean, I collected crabs when I was a kid.
I mean,
Ever do
I love
that
how
when you went to the beach?
kind of. I like to when they breathe through the water, I just like to watch it. You know, the bubbles rising up. My brother's...
You're so good compared to me.
Well,
You're like
my brother...
consistently the better human being.
My brother instead liked to eat sand. So, you know, the family was divided on what the purpose of the beach visits were.
Full spectrum.
To be fair, he was 3, but it's very funny.
Curtain Call will be deployed. These Nats will be slowed by it more than damaged, but that slow will end their life. Oh, Death Sniper coming in with Galley ulti. Was a tad confused there for a moment. Does survive the initial experience and stays ahead of the Death Realm cast twice. Will survive.
Oh man, I'm feeling so bad for Hugh right now because that's hilarious.
Flashed out of the initial cast. And then was just far enough ahead that we were able to stay alive. Unfortunately, does not save
Run
him.
away from that one.
Full burst of damage comes through there in the mid lane, and Brophy have now, as I said earlier, fully converted their lead. This is their game to lose, as we like to put it.
Yeah, I don't think there is an easy way back into the game for Central High School. I think the most clear way for them to get back into it would be the carry off of the back of Trash Bard. Problem is, there's not going to be a whole lot of opportunities for that. If you're just looking at the game state right now, you have to be able to find smaller fights, ones that can't necessarily be responded to, but a lot of the team here on the side of Brophy are good at entering fights where they're not initially physically present. You have teleports coming out from Quantum Chief, you have the hero's entrance coming out from QB, Milk Cow can enter with a curtain call and provide some slow and damage.
You all right there?
Yeah, just had a little bit of breathing issue mid-sentence, it's fine.
See, because again, I'm the worst human being of the two of us. When I have to like sneeze mid-sentence or something, I mute myself on the production mic, but I leave myself unmuted inside our call to each other, because who cares? So that just gets me sneezing into the microphone quite frequently.
I'll just randomly... It happened today as well.
Twice today.
I'll just be randomly making... TJ will be making a point, and then he'll pause, and then I'll pick up from there, and then I just hear, while I'm making this point about top lane or whatever, I'll just hear... She's like, oh, cool, I guess TJ's sneezing. Don't stop right now, let him get it out.
I have seasonal allergies, it's rough.
Yeah, I'm allergic to my dog, which really sucks. You'll see her if whenever we go back to the desk, you'll see her positioned carefully behind my bookshelf.
Does Foxy still sleep like she's died? Like she's a murder victim?
Every time. Eyes closed, face on the side, doesn't move. When she breathes, it doesn't show up outside. Like her chest doesn't move.
I think your dog may die briefly.
I think she does. I think every time she takes a breath, it's just her leaving and then re-entering the mortal plane. It's just...
resurrecting.
Yeah.
You considered your dog maybe an eldritch abomination.
Several times, especially considering her behavior recently.
Drake is available here. This will be the soul to Brophy if they pick it up. There's a TP for Quantum Chief. It will be spent. Death Realm from Death Simper onto Milk Cow. Does get the AD carry down at the very beginning of the fight. In the meantime, Trash Bard, the other AD carry, also gets focused down inside the Death Realm. Quantum Chief responsible for that big heroic entrance.
Huge
will tag
knockup.
4 players, and that should be QB grabbing the kills in the back lines. As in the meantime, Furley's kite is paying huge dividends. Brophy have themselves another stunningly good team fight.
Oh my god, TJ, it's the beautiful, beautiful drain tank abomination that is Graves with 2 items. Shield Bow into the Vamp Scepter that's going to become a Bloodthirster. I don't think the game's going to go that long, though, because after that beautiful fight, it is 23 minutes in, and they have Mountain Soul.
Probably Baron as well, should they feel the need. We'll see exactly where their inclinations take them. For now, Brophy settle for a mid lane turret, some resets on individual players. That fight was messy. Quantum Chief TPing into the backlines to be an assassin. Shuts down the majority of the damage for Central High School immediately, but it's still a dangerous fight because the majority of the damage for Brophy College Preparatory, at least the majority of quick damage, also got shut down at the very start of the fight as Milk Cow fell.
And it's because of the way that they have played this game, the fact that Central High School are focusing on Milk Cow is actually to the favor of Brophy. He's been playing with no resources whatsoever for most of the game, and it's really showing. All he has is Gale Force plus the makings of a Stormrazor. He's having a rough game, and it's understandable because he hasn't had any resources put into him. So anytime that Central High School is going to be focusing on him, it's a time they're not focusing on Quantum Chief. It's a time they're not focusing on Furley, who fulfills much of the same role as this Jin. They're both going to be sustained AD damage.
I would actually argue QB, who is doing a far better job of burst damage this game than the Jin. I don't know if you caught his ult into Winds of War, just like popping Death Simper.
I mean, his ult alone is almost enough to pop someone. It does ludicrous amounts of damage at this point. And you look at the top lane and jungle as well. These are the two real highlights for this game so far, is Quantum Chief and Fairly, who have been, to be fair, getting most of the attention from across the map. But Quantum Chief now 7-0-1. Fairly, as we saw in that last fight, is able to stay alive significantly longer than you would expect. But now has that completed Bloodthirster. Oh boy.
Chief.
1v3.
Place your bets. Death Realm will be deployed. I'm going to get to fight the person in the Death Realm.
Good stalling there by Victor.
Victor stalls out, but now it's a 2v3. And Quantum's back in front lines. Huge damage. And the rest of the team's here. A double kill already to Quantum, and it will get worse. Here is a full curtain call caught by Death Simper's forehead as they drop down. And Central High School have nobody on the map to contest this Baron that is up right now.
This is almost certainly going to be the Baron from them unless they're afraid of
Dreadlock's
Deadlock.
got the steal.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got the sapling toss. I believe in him. I believe in our Maokai.
This isn't actually Imperial Mandate Maokai support.
Which is interesting. We're having a trend of supports going non-support mythics today, which is interesting.
I don't think it's the right call.
There's like a ton of bursts that comes out from Maokai, and like even beyond that, Imperial Mandate is not an entirely selfless item. It gives you a lot of damage as well. And when you have a lot of saplings out on the map, my experience as an AD carry is it's the most obnoxious thing in the universe, because it's like running into little mini Teemo ultimates the entire game. Like, sure, they're not going to knock you down 100-0, but they are going to take away like 20% of your health in the early to mid game. And that is not nothing. Especially when your AD carry can follow up, especially when you can proc it multiple times in a fight. Maokai has 4 pieces of CC, 1 for each skill, that will all proc Imperial Mandate. So it really is one of those items that synergizes incredibly well with the champion.
Dreadlock has instead built Sunfire Aegis, which is a solid top lane Maokai item, but they're just going to be constantly behind in the HP scaling game. This is a problem that a lot of tanks, traditional tanks, are encountering because of the way support economics are working this season. You either build Locket and thrive off the bonus AD or armor and magic resist in the late game, or you suffer. The latter, more of the case here.
Bullying in school isn't cool, kids. I'm really, really disappointed in Brophy right now. A clear case of bullying, I think. But considering that they have Baron, it's almost the peaceful choice. Guys, this is a really rough game here for Central High School going forward. You can see that Trashbar, despite that early lead, has not really found a lot of gold across the map and has spent it on items that do not necessarily translate into DPS. The Rage Knife, for example, not going to do a whole lot. The QSS going to do literally nothing for the DPS. But both are almost veritable necessities, given that you have a massive Mordekaiser on the map. That ultimate goes in, you don't have QSS, you just lose the game right there. So it's understandable, but Trashbard is really having a tough time, and it's leaving Brophy to just run through this base.
2 inhibitors, as you say, picked up. That isn't actually the kind of game-ending result you're looking for all the time from the Baron. Like, it certainly does seem to seal the deal, but there'll be at least one more fight here, so maybe some WoW can come out.
I'm really hoping that before the last fight, we get to see Fairly finish that Infinity Edge they're working on. Because I really want to see Infinity Edge, Shield Blow, Bloodthirster Graves. I suspect it is going to be disgusting.
Curtain call. 2.
Goodbye.
Oh no! The Death Grasp completely mucked him up. Quantum Chief will find the kill, however. It doesn't matter. That will be an Elder Drake picked up on his second. So this should be the game end.
Oh. That's so mean. I love it. Beautiful play there from QB, holding the taunt and waiting for Victor to pop out of ultimate. We'll be able to take him down in the end. 4,000 HP left remaining on this Elder Drake, but with no one to contest, should be going down rather quickly. Fairly should be able to solo it, in fact. Oh my god. One auto. We'll do it. We'll be able to find it, unfortunately, but just the threat should be enough.
And that should be game. Pretty dominant game one to Brophy College Preparatory, as they take themselves most of the way, 2/3 of the way potentially, to the state championship. Death Simper into Melt Cow. Will have to be Death Realm to keep him alive, but doesn't change the result. There you go. Brophy College Preparatory take game number 1 of our Arizona State Championships. We do still have a second game still to come. They need to win that, of course, in order to take the entire series. But it was a very strong performance. If you're on the Arizona Central High School bench, you're sitting there waiting for your team to come back in so you can give them the pep talk. Macklin Daniel, what are your tips?
So I think the problem was Hugh kind of outclassed in the top lane. And I don't mean just in skill. You give someone a matchup where Nasus into Mordekaiser, the Nasus can't do a whole lot early. And you don't get any support from the jungler. You don't get any support from the mid laner. That lane's already going to hell in a handbasket, to put it kindly. And I think from there, the only lane that had a lead was bot, but that wasn't capitalized on. Victor spent a lot of time in the top lane, in the mid lane, trying to salvage those lanes, when really, I think the best way when you have a clear winning lane, especially one that scales so well in the late game, focus down bot. Get those dragons, especially with that bot lane advantage, and leverage your powerful AD carry to get them even more fed. You get a late game Vayne with, say, instead of 3 kills, get that to 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 kills maybe, for shooting for the stars here, and that is an entirely different ballgame. That is one where Hugh is no longer dominant. QB can no longer solo out these fights.
My favorite part about this, I told you to be passionate. I told you to pretend you were in the locker room, and you proceeded to give such a passionate speech that your camera was shaking the entire time. That's the energy I'm looking for right there. All right, a chance to turn things round for Central High School, a chance to close the state championship for Brophy Prep. Don't go far. We'll be back with game 2 after a quick 5-minute break. Matt, how do you feel about astrology? One time, I was in Arizona, and we were out hiking, and it was the most beautiful view of the stars. And, you know, if you're looking up at a beautiful night sky, there's a little bit in the back of your head that says, maybe I should get into astrology. Anyway, it's time for game number 2, so let's go back to Arizona for our draft in that second game. We did just see a pretty darn dominant victory for Brophy College Preparatory as they took game number 1. Central High School of Phoenix weren't able to make anything come together. I have been told we have a player sub that would be in the mid lane for Brophy. Let me go check our notes here.
So it looks like Eli 12 is heading into the mid lane, and QB is rotating down bot.
He did play Galio last season, so...
So they already know the strats.
We don't seem to have any information on Eli Toel, so...
A wild card, I like it.
It's chaos, who knows what he can do. Oh! Okay. I have some interesting learnings for you.
Okay.
Eli Toel is the first and last name, to be fair, of QB.
Okay. It's a QB fan coming in. I aspire to be the level of liked by my peers where they name themselves after me. Remember there was one time when
he's
some of the
cloning
people...
himself.
It's the only way to win, TJ. Stay ahead of the curve. I remember there was one time where some of my friends created Niberia's Bald Ego as a Twitter account. That was very fun.
What did it tweet?
I could check. I don't remember, but I can check. It's still active. Well, alive, not active.
I have just been corrected by our producer. Apparently, there was no sub. There was simply a name mix-up. Producer Biden apologizes to the audience. QB is not, in fact, cloning themselves. Let's get into the draft. It will be... You're in charge. I'm thinking about implications.
That's the problem, TJ.
We got Nivea first pick. Yep, followed up with Graves and Swain. Already excited by that. Pantheon and Misfortune and Silas on the opposite side.
So this probably means that the Swain is headed towards the bottom side of the map. We've seen Swain both support and AD carry. I think the meta right now leans more towards Swain AD carry, but both of them are fine. So I'm interested in seeing what comes out here, especially from Brophy, who last game had a dominant performance from pretty much everyone. This does mean that Quantum Chief, our friend Hugh up in the top lane, has free reign in terms of picks.
My dog has knocked my green screen out of alignment again. I'm very upset.
Apparently there is a sub again. Pretty Princess 72. That's a change. That's a change and a half.
Yes, but it is a sub I recognize. This is Gavin Holtzapple.
Shout out to Gavin for living their best life.
Gavin Holtzapple. Sorry, they gave us a pronunciation guide, which is good, but it was like an extra sentence that I thought it would be, and so I didn't read it well. Sorry, Gavin Holtzapple, but I did nail your last name, hopefully. Who is a future computer science major, looking to go to UCI or ASU to continue their esports passion in the summer.
We have covered both those teams.
They're both pretty good esports teams. And shout out to the username PrettyPrincess72.
Very good username. I'm wondering where the swaps are coming out here. Okay, yeah. Alright, I was worried a little bit that was going to be like an Anivia top. But thank goodness, it's just a Malphite. I'm not familiar with the Malphite Volibear matchup, mostly because we don't see a whole lot of Malphite nowadays. But I suspect he's fine. It's usually how the matchups go.
Volibear should have more poke than Malphite in the top lane.
I might actually contest that.
you're like struggling with this matchup.
Mm,
I'm gonna go ahead and say I think Volibear is gonna be able to zone Malphite off of wave, and we
Okay.
can test that theory.
I agree with you there. I think that
Down
may be the possibility.
bottom, I'm very excited to see Swain and Varus together. Brophy, bringing out the big guns, the off-meta picks. We'll head into game here, and we can talk about it. Swain does have the longest range, I think, non-direct engage in the game, meaning that he goes past minions. So he's going to be able to hook people through minion waves at considerable range, all the while Varus is hammering in damage.
I was actually curious to see what kind of Varus build this was going to be coming into the game, because you absolutely still can go that lethality Varus, pop in something like a Dustblade or Eclipse, something like that, and just go for the poke. But this will be on hit Varus, which means, yeah, the goal will be to just lock people down for Varus to get a bunch of hits off.
And we're going to, hopefully, see more of that for QB, because if basically this entire lane will revolve around QB landing their hooks.
Looking into the mid lane, Pretty Princess sitting on that phase rush. We've seen this before in the Anivia, who is a little bit stronger than I think I anticipated going into this patch.
Anivia's real good this patch.
The changes are kind of crazy in terms of how much damage they've added, how much sustain they've added, how much better her itemization feels. With the removal of Rod of Ages, she felt really bad because she just didn't have the max mana she needed. But now things seem to be mostly resolved.
And for the first time in, I don't know, decades, Anivia's competitively viable, it seems.
Yeah. I'm interested in
First time in
seeing...
at least 50 years.
That's true, TJ. My favorite memory is League of Legends first being unveiled at the 1924 World Fair.
I remember that as well, because I was alive then. QB and Milk Cow in the bot lane are already showing the threat of what we talked about, even level 1. They've just zoned Bard and Dreadlock completely off of wave. And hey, look! I was right about the poke being scary in the top lane as well.
So the reason I was hesitant to agree with you there is that Malphite as a laner is really known for one thing and one thing only, and that's his poke with his Q. Because it is rather powerful, but it seems like just looking at this trade, the poke isn't the problem. The problem is the full-on direct engages coming out of the top lane. So I'm wondering why this was the choice coming out of Brophy, considering that last game they won primarily off of the strength of their top lane.
Ooh. Hook finally lands. Here goes the on-hit damage. Trash Bard, a sliver of HP, almost taken out by the long-ranged arrow. You will have to rotate in here, this jungle pantheon. Maybe to save the day, as Princess will flash forward. That means there's no escape now, as the man with the spear shows up in the mid lane, stunned away from the execute. They'll survive! Princess gets back behind their tower.
This is really a dominant laning phase here from Pretty Princess. If you're looking at how much damage they're able to put out, not only on their tower. Oh my god, meanwhile in the bottom lane, Ignite still taking on Deadlock, will not get the kill, but that's 2 times in a row that Milk Cow and QB have just been decimating this bottom lane.
Yeah, this is actually a really nasty combo. You know what I would love to see, having witnessed this? I would love to see Ashe Swain.
I think, yeah, that could work, especially because Ashe just locks them up and keeps them there forever. Oh my god. Okay. Minor
Speaking
heart
of
attack
close
averted.
calls, mid lane, Farlight does come out of the bush a little bit too fast. I think they may have had something there if Farlight had gone all in on Princess, but they decide not to bait for it, and Princess is back to dominating the mid lane, despite the best efforts of Frolito to bail out their own mid laner and Death Simper.
I'm not really going to be looking at the top lane, not because I don't think it's important, but because it's painful to watch. These Nuts is really, really just absolutely dominating this lane between the sustain, the better wave clear, Up 17 CS at this point, and that is only going to get wider until Quantum has 1 or 2 items, because Malphite without items is essentially useless.
The quick thief! Princess stays ahead of the engage from Simper.
Did you see how many Petrosite bursts he got off in a row, though? That Silas was popping.
Unfortunately... Oh! Mac!
He's clean.
That's
Pretty
so
Princess,
good!
Gavin is clean.
Denying the full engage twice in a row. Neither time is especially meaningful, unfortunately. Princess doesn't find the traits back, will be forced out of lane as a consequence, but at least they're not forced out of lane via the grey screen.
Yeah, and I think that's the real highlight. Oh my god, trade not going great there for Quantum. Looked really strong, but Desnats was saving the combo there, popped the Conqueror at the same time. Whoever hits 6 first gets a kill here.
And it will be down to the
Oh
wire!
my god!
Never mind. The level 6, I'm pretty sure, made the difference there as Quantum got a burst of healing off of it. I don't know if it actually decided the fight.
I don't even know if it was before or after. Honestly, that was such a close engage. Oh my god, Quantum gonna have to ult away to safety.
The ult will get him out.
Clean. That's what we're looking for.
What a great game so far.
Yeah, these are really mechanical plays that are deciding this game, which is, I'm not gonna say my favorite. I like a combination of mechanics and macro, but these are really, really close plays coming out that are deciding these lanes, and I think it's really exciting because that means it could go either way at any point.
Chain was so long. Did you see that?
Very long.
Chains
Long
are really
arms.
heavy, so
Silas is ripped, man.
been doing the workouts for the CW's Arrow.
Well, they say that the Silas lore is that he was like chained up in Demacia or something, and I like to imagine it was just the arrow.
I spent 5 years in a cell in Demacia.
There were no holidays on the cell. Watch CW's The Arrow if you don't like yourself.
do not watch that television show. It is awful.
But it's like a nice kind of, when you're having a bad day, I think this is the best use for it.
When I'm having a bad day, watching a CW show makes that day worse.
You don't like just watching trash for trash's sake?
Drake is up. Oh, good hook from QB. Will open this fight up. TPs will be coming in from the top lane as well. Drake does go over to Brophy. In the meantime, there's big damage on the front line.
Oh
no
my God.
HP on Death Simper. The second kill to fight to Brophy.
QB's alive!
Double down as QB survives despite it all. And 4 players die in the team fight. Brophy walk away with the Drake and their 5th kill.
I cannot believe that QB is being this successful on support. I know that Mage is a mid lane, or Swain is a mid lane character as well, but this is ridiculously good play coming out of QB. Like the same level of fight awareness that kept them so high up as that Galio, that 6-0 performance, is paying dividends here on this Swain. 0-0 and 3, sure, but the middle of that team fight, they were the one being focused instead of Milk Cow, and they were able to not only survive it, but capitalize into all their kills off the back of that focus, onto Trash Bar, onto Deadlock, and I think that is so incredibly impressive.
And the 3,000 gold lead that's earned is pretty devastating this early on in the game.
Yeah, and you look, even the top lane now has started turning for Quantum Chief. I was genuinely impressed by Desnats in the early game. But as it got later and later, and is continuing to get later, Quantum Chief is starting to fight back. Quantum Chief is starting to have a whole lot more damage, a whole lot more sustain in these fights in terms of damage. Uh-oh. Minor problem, though.
Minor problem with Quantum Chief's narrative that you were just setting up. Not only is there a kill, there's also a Rift Herald. Not quite sure where that Rift Herald is going, but it will return to the pit. In the meantime, Princess gets focused down. Ult in from Frelito. We'll have to make it over the Anivia, though. And then just Ice Storm destroys them on the chase. Lightning will come down from the skies. Princess dodges that, staying ahead of it all. Now knocked into the egg. Might not be able to get off the Resurrect. Will not be able to get off the Resurrect. This apparently does not have enough damage to distract the focus. So, 1 kill over to Brophy in the top lane, 1 kill over in the jungle, and surely that opens up this Rift Herald.
Should be able to allow them more access to it, as you were saying, especially given the deficit that Quantum Chief has been facing in terms of CS. But I am pleasantly surprised by how that Anivia played that fight, because that should have just been a fried bird right then and there. Find them in the deli aisle afterwards. But really solid play from the entire side of Brophy to extend that engage to the point where you could capitalize off it and at least find a return kill, at least find something off of it. But off that play, I think Central High School are going to have a much better chance to get back in as well.
Deadlock and, ooh, what a good hook. Trash Bard pulled all the way back in, down to half HP. This bot lane has not been fun. And guess who's roaming down? The princess
the
from the
Anivia
lane.
roam.
QB shows up, diving in, ult in hand. Could go down to this turret. Will go down to that turret. And actually, now this is rather spiraled out of control. As the TP comes in, that could get very dangerous down bottom. That is Death Simper leading off the chase. I don't think they dare go in 1v2. But at the end of the day, that works out okay for Brophy. 1 for 2.
And I think Brophy are really sitting on a timer in this game. Central High School need to do a lot more to get back into this. I want to see Trash Bard able to find a way back into this game, and that way will be team fights. If you can find a team fight that is to your advantage as Central High School, you have a chance, but the team fighting from both teams is pretty well matched. That is sort of the problem we're having. Trash Bard, the only way to change these fights for Central High is the bullet time. Meanwhile, engage down bot.
Yep, trying to blow up Milk Cow will work out. In the meantime, of course, the top side is the strength for Brophy. Makes it a 1-1 trade across the map off of both roam presences.
You're seeing a ton of CS advantage being put out by this bottom lane for Brophy. And interestingly, the Varus is using that CS advantage to transition into a Gale Force, which is like last on the list of mythics I thought Varus would take. Not that it's bad, I just think the other mythics give clearer advantages, because if you go for Kraken Slayer, that on hit is going to be really slapping. If you go for Gale Force, the burst damage coming out from the side of Central High won't be as bad and will be incredibly mitigatable. The advantage of the Gale Force is, as always, the repositioning. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in future team fights from Milk Cow, is how you capitalize on the presence of that Gale Force to make it worth it.
I think we're seeing a rather disturbing pattern from Central High School, though, that I'm going to call out here in the background. That is Trash Bard, yet again, getting the benefit of a lot of presence, yet again, getting the benefit of a lot of people rotating down to that bottom lane. In this game, it should be noted, they aren't winning that lane. But we're also not seeing Trash Bard be used in any way as a result of that presence. They're not trying to chase down kills or fights around this bottom lane while all their players are here. Now they will. This is a fight over the Drake, man.
5v5 coming out and fairly pops immediately. 450 gold over to D's-Knots. Chase does not end there. The Anivia goes down to follow it up. QB trying to zone off as best as possible. Milk Cow cannot put enough damage out. Double kill for Death Simper. Flash away from Milk Cow, and that will be all she wrote for that fight. The Dragon goes down in favor of Central High.
And that is what I'm talking about. That is what I wanted to see from Central High. If you have decided you are going to play through the bottom lane, that is how you do it. Not only do you gank that lane, not only do you support that lane, but you also try and use that lane as your central base for achieving map control. Not only will we get the Drake over on the Central High School side, not only will they get a series of kills that bring the gold lead back within striking distance, they also invest the Rift Herald into advancing that lane's interests, giving the gold and, of course, the lane dominance over to their players there.
Meanwhile, a little bit of a scrap going on towards the top side of the map. Trash Bard will make it out untouched for the most part. Now into the top lane, Quantum Chief. This is kind of what I'm worrying about here. Is this top lane was where a lot of the deficit started for the side of Brophy. That has been made up for, and in fact, Brophy is in the lead still because of the CS advantage in both top and bottom. But the control of the game is quickly slipping away. And that is what I'd say is the major concern here. So coming the next objectives, whether it be second Rift Herald or the next Dragon, that's what I want to see on the line here is control the game, tempo of the game.
Watch for bullet time from Trashbarn. That is very likely the game deciding ultimate. If Trashbarn isn't in range to cast it, then the same thing that happened previously has happened again.
Oh my
dear.
god. That was a lot of damage, TJ.
Hey!
What's up?
Maybe this bot lane's good.
Yeah. I see there is some evidence towards that. Double the CS.
QB's busted on Swain.
Maybe QB's just busted. Two
Maybe
positions,
QB's
two
just
champions.
busted. Quantum Chief does find a lot of damage onto these nats in this top lane matchup. I believe has the cooldown advantage. His ult is cast. Does not have the teammate advantage.
Flash out keeps them safe, though. And that's about all you can ask for Hugh here.
As Grand Starfall redirects Frolito's attention towards the top lane, you also have the mid lane turret falling, which will now be a 3-1 turret lead. Oh dear, bullet time will come out. QB survives that, staying up through this, turning now as Milk Cow comes in. 1-1. Deadlock at the very front of the fight, takes so much damage they have to back away, and actually Trash Bard goes down as well. You'll have a TP threatened, but not secured. It is a devastating lane engagement. Quantum Chief survives on 1 HP, my lord. And Brophy are right back in this. Gold lead in their pockets. They're going to redouble that with what they achieve here, which should be at least 2 turrets.
Really, really clean team fighting here from Brophy, and I think this is one of their advantage. They should feel proud of their team and proud of the system they've accomplished because they are playing together very well. They're playing around their objectives and win conditions very well. And it really does seem almost impregnable in terms of their offensive strategy. Central High had an okay start to the fight, but then Trashbard got caught out mid-bullet time.
Okay. I know it's a Swain, so it's not like one-to-one, but full engaging on the support is never a fantastic idea. And that is what they did.
Well, you can try for a pick. I think their argument was that we can get a pick onto this Swain because he is not beefy. And while that is correct,
not true.
Well, he has Leandries, but like he's not unkillable at that point. If you can burst him down before his ult healing comes out, which they very nearly did. Admittedly, the ult stalled them out a little bit longer than I think anyone would have wanted. But I think the theory is there, and if Trashbard had been like 3-1 instead of 0-4, for example, that would have been a much different engage, a much different follow-up fight. So I understand the theory behind it.
I'm gonna keep being toxic here. Trashbard is 0-4. So where exactly does the damage to kill a Swain who, sure, isn't a tank, but sure is big, where does that come from in your head?
Theoretically, it comes from Death Simper, right? Because 5-2 on the Silas, very strong, but realistically, Death Simper doesn't do a whole lot of burst damage right now. Just one item going for the Leandries instead of something like a Ludens.
Let's refocus then, because we do have a Drake up. And we'll see if we can call out any more shot-calling errors, because I think that is something to watch out for on the Central High School side, especially when Brophy are being so darn good about it.
I think the key ultimates to watch out for are Unstoppable Force from the Malphite, that's Quantum Chief, as well as Milk Cow's ultimate. That's what I'm looking for here.
Grand Starfall in behind the bullet time, and already Burley is instantly gone. QB and Stacy
3-man
just has to watch. Sure, you got a 3-man knock-up, but what do you do afterwards? QB 5
Demon Flare, that's
oh
what!
Oh my lord, they've turned it! Finally, Death Simper saves the day, but it is a darn close fight. Death Simper only survives by his ability to back away from the tightly packed AoE brought by QB and Quantum Chief.
I was going to follow that up with the third ultimate I'm looking for is the Demon Flare from Swain. Because as we saw, the combination of Unstoppable Force plus the Demon Flare was not only enough CC, but enough massive burst damage to take down almost all of the side of Central High School. And that's why this Swain is dangerous. That's why I think the pick wasn't a bad idea, because we can see that that Swain is a huge point of danger. It's like focusing a carry at this point.
Where did that burst come from, you might ask? Of course, the Swain, but also Quantum Chief benefiting massively. Oh, we're here for round 2. I'm going to hold this thought. Furley manages to get over the wall. Quantum Chief spoiling for a fight, scrapping for a fight around the side. Only a couple of seconds away from getting their ultimate back up. So keep your eye on that as Furley gets dropped even lower.
Princess.
Death Simper, no HP. Princess in the front lines with QB. They both found the first 2 kills of this fight. Trash Bar is gone as well. And the second time's the charm for Brophy. Not caught out in a beautiful combo. They will come out ahead.
QB should be able to find the root and will answer with the kill there for Pretty Princess. The ace comes out. That will be the third Drake of the game going over to Brophy. And I think a lot of that fight, almost all of it, was on the incredible zoning coming out from Brophy. If you watch the middle of that fight, it was literally 4 people sitting on Pretty Princess's ult. There were just 4 people sitting in a fully charged Anivia ult and not moving.
There wasn't much they could do because of the careful positioning of Brophy. They were treating standing in the Anivia AoE as a win. Oftentimes you have players treat standing in the Anivia AoE as basically nothing at all. But if your team mentality is, if they are standing in the Anivia AoE, we are winning the trade and therefore we stay in it, therefore we enforce that as the least dangerous place to be, then you win a lot of team fights.
Yeah, because, I mean, Anivia does a ton of damage, even without items. All she had was the Leandries, but even with just Leandries, that's a ton of damage over time. The base damages on Anivia are so strong that we've even seen a few Anivia supports come out. Like, she is not something to sneeze at, especially if you're sitting in her ultimate for several seconds and you have no way out. There were no dashes out, there were no flashes out, they were all just stuck, eating the AoE damage, and I think that was a huge win for Brophy.
Confirmed. Don't sneeze on Anivia.
Probably not. I want her to get sick, man. She has a low body temperature. She's a cryo phoenix. I think that's just
does that
fancy,
make you more likely to get sick?
So, yes. Because a lot of viruses cannot survive at human body temperature. Team fight's about to break out, so I want to talk about virology, but I also don't want this fight to go somewhere.
Quantum Chief in the front lines is baiting things in. Both teams have 4 or 5 players here. And as a result, nobody goes for it.
Maybe starting to. I don't think anyone needs to fight around the Baron. I don't think anyone can take it at this point. So I think...
If Brophy win this fight, they get Baron, which means Central High School should not be spoiling, for one.
Right. I just don't think forcing Baron at this point is what Brophy want to do. So I think, to your point, yeah, Central needs to just get out and not be like, hey guys, we should fight over Baron. Because Central High, that's not an idea that you want to win. They don't have enough damage to take it quickly anyways.
Yeah, it's just not a... There's no reason for Central to be looking for that. Because they don't win the team fight. And even if they do win the team fight, I don't really know what they get from it.
Misfortune's terrible at taking Baron. Like, notoriously bad.
1-6 Misfortune is especially rough. Let Trash Bard finish their cull. Then maybe we go back to that.
It's a 76 CS deficit. That is rough.
Oh, damn.
It's also rough. Almost able to find a kill. Beautiful ultimate in there from Quantum Chief. And QB goes in, finds the double. Now that's a Baron.
Now that is a Baron. And what did it come from? It came from Central High School being weird about it, being like pokey and proddy in, and they didn't need to. As a result, they have no hope of contesting this, and Anivia, by the way, does take Barons very quickly. We're going to watch this Baron drop
It's just melting.
Polito is in the area. Maybe he can try a steal, but too late. And Brophy College Preparatory have their 25th kill and the Baron.
They're looking really strong in this game, TJ. I mean, there's the only deficits they had going into this were in the mid and top lane, and I think those have mostly been resolved. You look at D's has not been able to find farm to the same degree of Quantum Chief, who then has caught up. 8 and 3 on this battle fight as well is going to provide a whole ton of gold. And you look at the mid lane, and Pretty Princess is just chilling. 2 items already stacked up on the Archangels, and I think that's just really, really powerful for them. Uh-oh.
We apparently
Support
have
internet.
a disconnect from Deadlock.
Please
so
nerf
we'll go to a
ISP.
technical pause. I don't know how long this is going to be. We'll let our producer handle it. Meantime, we're here. Can you... I see! Okay, I can do this too. Hold up. Let me see if...
Miss Mary. Hello,
This
Miss
is
Mary.
Miss Mary, barely in shot here. I'm going to see if I can maybe get you in camera a little bit more?
What is she standing on? She looks like she's walking on air.
There's a cat tree right here.
Okay.
And
It's
it
very
does not
confused.
quite appear tall enough. Let's see if we can...
There she is. She's so pretty, and she's green screened. That's fantastic.
She's kind of mucking up my green screen, to be honest.
She is
Could you
a little
be a
bit.
cleaner chroma key? Could you maybe think about that? Anyway,
Anyways, that's TJ's cat.
Brophy are on a pretty dominant role here, and I hear we're back into the game right now. I think in order to disrupt this, you need a massive objective failure of some kind. Maybe somewhere around this Drake that's coming up.
Yeah, it's not going to be soul for either team if it is picked up. But it will be soul point for Brophy, which is powerful, as well as just Ocean Drake as a whole. It's really nice to have. Oh my god!
My god!
Flash forward. Stun's not
It
going to land, but it
works!
doesn't matter. Oh
Look
my
out
goodness.
For huge damage round the side, and that is just this objective fight over and done with. There is a split push attempt for what it's worth from these Nats. I don't think it's worth much though, because there are multiple TPs available, so if he gets close to taking a turret or anything.
Also, with
TP
what
plus Baron power
objective
minions.
damage is he going to be able to pressure the split push? Like he doesn't have damage in his build. And Pulver Wave Clear's like good, but it's just base damages right now.
Quantum Chief holding forward there. The rest of the team, the rest of Brophy, has just gotten pretty thoroughly distracted by Relito. I don't think this is worth their time.
Very funny though.
But yeah, it is entertaining.
Okay, they found another target. Thank goodness. The game can continue instead of the Benny Hill show.
Acting a little bit like an account there. Oh, there we go.
my God.
Relito stepped too far forward, and this time, young man, you're going to be taught a lesson. Death Simper, hit by the Unstoppable Force, will be the second kill to follow shortly afterwards. QB getting credit for both of those in a rather concerning turn of events. The support Swain, devastating as it turns out.
Bullet time will come out, but onto minions more than people. Milk Cow just flashes over casually, finds one, should be able to find two, will indeed. 3 maybe in the cards. No, gets slammed down by D's Nuts, but that's going to be the full ace coming out for their effort. And now this should be the end of the game.
This should be the state championship here in Arizona, getting passed to Brophy College Preparatory. They've won twice before. This will be their third title as they make quick work of it. 2 quick consecutive games. A desperate last stand there. Not quite enough.
It may be. Can't count our chickens before
My
they're hatched,
God.
TJ. Seems like we did.
I'm pretty sure they could have finished, but
Yeah, probably.
Brophy
I think-
making sure there is no risk, which is very understandable.
I think if QB hadn't gotten popped there, that would have been the game end, but
So the big problem is there's just no way back into this for Central High School. So we're just going to be assuming Central High School don't make any mistakes. We're just going to be here for a hot 2 minutes.
okay, blue buff for Pretty Princess. That's things are happening still, TJ.
Woo!
And it'll be red buff for Milk Cow, and then that's the end of things happening. they either push for an objective or they just kind of chill.
We have an Ocean Soul and a Baron both in 2 minutes, so. The one Central High School ought to contest, I guess, is the Soul, because it's technically survivable. The Baron is technically survivable.
Yeah.
So, if they can sneak away the Drake, and then weather the storm of the Baron push, which I don't believe they can, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it would be difficult from this position. At best, it's difficult. At worst, it's impossible. But I always believe that everyone here is at their best, so will be difficult to defend.
Interestingly enough, Brophy not playing the Korean school of League of Legends.
They're just going for it.
Minimizing risk. Here we go for the game end.
Deadlock goes in for the engage, and meanwhile, Friolito into the backline, not going to be able to find anything. Oh, no. D's Knoth goes in for the dive. Able to find a little bit of damage into the backline. Fairly is low, but still surviving. Look at all that lifesteal. And that's going to be the ace coming out really quickly there for Brophy College Prep, who have just won the Arizona State Championship.
Congratulations to Brophy College Preparatory. They are your champions after an almost undefeated season. They dropped exactly 1 game during the regular season. They did win the last season, and they'll win again here today.
Really good play from them. I was incredibly impressed by QB in the role swap, because that's not something you usually see players capable of doing, especially not at a competitive level. You can sometimes see a role swap, but oh no, there goes Miss Mary. The only time I can remember of seeing a competitive role swap that worked was Crepo and Froggen in like season 3. So seeing them pull that out on this high school stage and win the state championship off of roll swap is really impressive.
Yeah, really, really good to see. I think that there are a lot of players there, especially because so many of them are talking about going to ASU, using Play Versus as the first step in their careers, that I am going to be keeping my eye on. That I'm going to be curious to see more of, particularly Quantum Chief, Hugh Gallagher, pulling things out in the top lane. His Mordekaiser game 1. Perfect.
Disgusting.
There are a couple of players on both teams that may be playing in the next season. However, and I have news for them, it is time for them to sign up. You can do so over at playversus.com. Our registration for the next season is open right now. Spring 21 will start March 1st, so make sure you're enrolled today over at playversus.com. Matt, there were some stutters, but I got through it. Rate my ad read.
6.
We're going to go to a quick break. We got one more match today. Don't go far. We'll return with the final game of our state finals after this.